Okay, welcome everybody to the School for Humanity. This is the Customer Avatar Week, and we hope that this video, along with the worksheet that we'll be giving you, will help you clearly define who you serve and why. Now, this exercise of going through and defining your customer avatar and your ideal audience is not only really beneficial and mandatory and necessary for new entrepreneurs or early stage entrepreneurs and businesses, but it's also can serve as a great refresher for existing businesses and established businesses, just as a really good exercise to go through, especially with new employees and new partners that you're bringing on. So, what we want to do, and the objective here is to help you, know your customer better than they know themselves, right? Because by understanding the pains and the challenges and getting inside the brain and the heart of your customer will help you immensely when you are writing Facebook ad copy, when you're writing a blog post, whether you're creating a podcast, but also it is definitely an extension to your products and services. So not only is it a marketing asset, it's also a product innovation asset. So your goal by the end of this exercise, our objective is to help you know your customer better than they know themselves, so you can begin writing content, creating products, and better serving your audience. And ultimately, that's what business is about. The businesses that we like to work with, and empowering entrepreneurs to serve their customers at a level that no one else is. Right. So this is going to be a short video, and it will be completed with a homework assignment. And the homework assignment will be, to complete your customer avatar worksheet found in the membership platform before our next group call, right? So you can find the link to the customer avatar worksheet. It's a really great exercise. It should take you probably about 30 to 60 minutes to really go in depth of who are you serving, and maybe even more importantly, why you serve them. Okay, so that kind of brings me to my next slide here. Is as we before we go into kind of the core pillars of your customer and what they want, it's also really important to kind of step back and reflect on not only who do you serve, but like why do you serve them? Why do you even exist? And I'll kind of in a little bit I'll show you an example of us, No Typical Moments, as an agency, who we serve, kind of our customer avatar, a rough version of that, and why we exist. They kind of give you a rough example, or a real example of an existing business, just to kind of help you springboard your ideas. Some of the top questions that you're going to find on your worksheet, I've listed here for you, and I just kind of want to run through them and see if mentioning them and giving you an example of them can kind of help when you're going through your own exercise, right? So, some questions to ask when you're really thinking about your audience is, what goals do they have, right? What values do they hold, right? And I think this is really, really important, especially from growing your business and working with people you actually like and care about. One of the best pieces of advice I received one time from a mentor was, don't be afraid to fire clients that don't serve you. And that at the time, that was such a radical concept for me to fire clients, because to me at that point clients were cash flow, they were growing our business. But if they're making you miserable and they're complaining a lot, and they don't share the same values that you share, then it's not worth it. The money's not worth it. So making sure that you clearly define the values that you want the people that you serve to hold will make that partnership so much better. And it will actually help you sustain that relationship, and together you guys are both being a win-win relationship. So don't be afraid to fire old clients, and making sure that they share the values that you hold dear to you. Another great question to ask is, what are their current challenges, right? How do they, the goals that they have, the goals that you've defined for them, what are the current challenges that they're facing, or what are the current roadblocks that they're facing that are preventing them from reaching their goal? And one of the best questions that we always ask our clients that we're trying to market for is, what's their single biggest pain point right now that they are willing to pay for, right? So if you're a coach, or if you're running a product business or an e-commerce business or some sort of service, ask yourself, what's the single biggest pain point right now my ideal client is facing that they are willing to pay for, right? Also, another great question are, what are their fears, right? What are their hopes? What do they want and what do they need? What are some of the roadblocks preventing them from reaching their goals? And we kind of talked about that in the challenges. What are some common objections you might hear when selling your product or service? And this is really, really important because we always ask this from when we're interviewing our potential clients, like, when you're selling your services, whether it's a coaching package or some sort of course or program, let's play this out and go, okay, if you are made an offer to someone, what are we expected to hear back from a common objection? Is it the price is too high, or I don't have the time commitment, or this just doesn't feel right, it might not work for me? If we understand the top common objections going into the selling process, we can build in answers and common replies that feel right, that are in integrity to those common objections. So if we can plan ahead and prep for that, that makes your selling process so much easier. So identifying the common objections you might hear early on in your selling process will help, again, with writing your blog posts, sending your emails, and of course, if you need to have one-on-one calls, that'll help you prep going into it. So always trying to identify the common objections you might hear. Okay? So here's a really quick example of our agency No Typical Moments and what we look for and what's important to us when we're prospecting and we're talking to a prospective client, right? What's really important is that they share our values on what business really means. And so we're looking for conscious business owners inspired to use business for good and to make the world a better place, right? In our interviewing process or in our discovery process, when we're meeting new prospective clients, there's certain key phrases that you normally come up. Like if we hear someone say, I want to make money, I want to get rich, it's kind of a turnoff to us. Even though we know that the financial goals are so important going into any engagement, we understand that that's definitely always needs to be a pillar, and that's what we're good at, is helping people increase sales and leads. But we want people to understand that, and we want to work with people who aren't just about profit, right? They care about their impact and their legacy on the world and what they're doing to improve and give ourselves a better society, and they're using business for good, right? So we really care about and aligning ourselves with conscious business owners. Ideally, gross revenue to kind of work with our agency nearly has to be definitely above 250,000. Usually at 250,000 to $1 million range is really good client for us. So it's still a small business owner looking to scale and looking to grow, and has the investment and mindset to invest in an agency like ours. Some of the biggest challenges they may face are not enough leads, lack of strategy or systems to scale, or sluggish sales. So they'll usually come to us hoping to resolve some of those, especially the leads aspect, but us being an agency that does Facebook ads. Some of the top objections we hear all the time are, tried this before and it didn't work. The money, time commitment, similar things like that usually pop up throughout the sales process, especially the first one, which is tried this before and didn't work. In our world, we come up with a lot of business owners who may have been burned or worked with an agency that didn't deliver on their promises, and they feel kind of scammed or a little fearful going into their next engagement. So we know that going into every sales call, so we build in our conversations to make sure that we're aligning ourselves with the right people and that they can trust us immediately. And so we know that going in, so that's really, really important, and the same for your business. Some of the goals that they may have is to serve and impact as many people as possible. Some of the fears they may have is my business might fail. The impact they desire to have on the world might never reach its full potential. So those are just some of the psychological things happening with some of our prospective clients that I wanted to share to kind of get you started and give you a really good example of that could be helpful for your business in this exercise. And of course, we said not only do we want to know who our target audience is, we want to know why we want to serve them and why we even exist. And so I thought I'd also share No Typical Moments Why, which is to accelerate solutions for companies that create a better world for people and the planet. And we positively impact humanity through innovations in digital marketing to empower 50 million lives by 2020. So we understand clearly our why, our clients know our why, and our why actually disqualifies people during the sales process. And that's also important in what you're doing with this customer avatar is you're also, your services and products can't be for everyone. So through this process, you're also disqualifying people. And that eliminates wasted time and wasted resources trying to go for everyone. Throughout this process, you're clearly defining your niche and you're disqualifying people and you're hyper qualifying people as well. And now you know your why to explain it to them when you're communicating with them, whether that's on a sales call, podcast, email, or Facebook ad. So that kind of completes the customer avatar video. The biggest goal here is to make sure that you fill out your customer avatar worksheet and then send in your questions in the comment section in the platform so we can help answer that. And then, of course, we'll have our group call coming up that really kind of define and help you work through some of this stuff. This is a basic exercise, but it's a much needed exercise and builds the foundation for everything else that we're going to be doing in this course. So good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.